Another way to get the numbers, it is what we call list comprehension. So list comprehension is more like a for loop, but having it as an easier for loop. So if we have our code as this, so remember what we did, right? We did for C in code, if C dot is numeric. Okay, so I added an if in the first statement. So we had we created an empty list called numbers equals to empty list, right? So if this is met, let numbers dot append C, right? So let's see what our numbers are. Yeah, so rather than having this like this, right, you could do what we call list comprehension. So you could just say, let's create number 2 will be equals to C for C in, I think this can get confusing. Yeah, the very first time I learned it was really confusing. C for C in code, if C dot is numeric. So every time I print my num2, it prints it. So so if you look closely, we've converted this for loop to a Python a list comprehension. So if you see, it's more like we'll say for C in code. So now we're saying C for C in code. If this, so you're putting a condition based on certain things. So now remember, at some point we changed it to integer. So I can say int C for C in code if this is this. So by the time I print this out, this I've changed. We've changed this to numeric. Again, if I say let me get my animals list for this. So let me just get this animal list. So I have a list of animals, for example, and I want to change the animal. I want to change everything to capital letter. So most of the time, before I do a list comprehension, I do a for loop first. So to understand the flow, then you can convert that for loop to a list comprehension. Then by the time you do that, it starts making sense to you. Yeah, so C for C. So more like it's almost the same thing we did here. Integer. So you're putting whatever you want to append to it. You're picking. So this will be the first one. So you want to pick this for, remember, for C in this. So this for C in code. So it's more like you're picking what you want to get from that thing. Then you put the code. So let's try animal. For example, I want to change every item in animals to capital letter. Because let me do animals caps. I could say equals to. So now you can use anything. So I use C. You can use character. You could use anything. So I can say animal. Let me even use animal. So I want to convert this to upper. So I could do animal dot upper for animal in animals. Animal. So by the time I print animal, animal caps, okay, not animals, so it's supposed to be animals. Yeah, so animal for animal. So everything has gone back. So remember, this can be Z for Z. So the most important thing is whatever you want to loop through, it has to be a variable. So you are converting it to upper. If I use lower, for example, it changes everything. So it's more like an easier way to change things within a list without creating or going through a for loop. So for example, we're going to write a for loop for this. It's going to take about 3-4 lines, but with just one line of code, we've done that. So the idea of coding is to make things efficient and make it easy rather than having a long list. So if you could do something in one line, why do it in 3 lines? Yeah, so I would allow this sit for a few minutes for you to understand, because I know it can be confusing. Trust me, I've been there. So just give you a minute or two for that to kind of sit in. If you have specific questions, please ask. If it doesn't make sense to you, ask. Then we can now go through. At least with this animal, I think it makes sense. It's more like doing so if I want to do this individually, I can now say for loop for, let's say for A in animal, yeah, I could say A dot upper. I can now create a new list. So I can now say, let me create a new list, C V, yeah, caps, let me make it 2. I can say A append animal cap 2 dot append A dot upper. I think I'm tired. So yeah, by the time you do the, by the time I print out my animal all caps V. Yeah, so imagine what we had in 3 lines. Here we had it just in 1 line. So that's, so if we break this down, you see this dot lower, let me make it upper this time. So you're picking this, what you want to add, what you want to, if you're transforming it, for example. Yeah, I understand that it's confusing, but just settle down and think through it. So let's break it down. So we have a for loop. So a list comprehension is more like a for loop. So let's say we have this for loop for A in animals. We are looping through animals, right? So what we are doing now, we are creating a new list called animals cap. So converting the animals, each animal in the list to capital letter. So remember here we're appending upper. So just more like you're picking this, you're making it the first thing you are picking. Then for Z in animal, so for anything in animal. So whatever, it depends on whatever you are doing. If I say Z for Z in animals, it just picks it exactly what we have in animals. So if I want to change, okay, Z for Z in animals, so everything in animals I'm picking is, if you understand that, Z for Z in animals, so everything in animals I'm getting it. So but if I want to add a condition, so the Z for Z in animal, if I can say, okay, now I want to only get, let's say I want to only get the animals that have where the length is more than, let's say 5. So I can just add an if statement. If length of Z is greater than 5. By the time I print it, was only 3 animals. So if I want to do it with this, I can say this. I'll have to come here and do if length Z is greater than 5, then I have to also indent. Yeah, I can say, so this will just return the uppercase of this. If I remove this upper, I just return this as it is. So if by the time I do this, int, no great, if length A, sorry, now you have to be sure whatever you're doing. Yeah, thank you. Length A. So you have to be consistent, whatever you called here, that's what you have to use throughout. So what it has returned, the capital letter of the animals that are greater than 5. So if I remove this cap, just return only the animals themselves. So you get. So why list comprehension makes things easier to do rather than just having having it as a like 4 or 5 lines. With 1 line, I've achieved whatever I achieved with 4 lines. So that's the essence of list comprehension. It just makes things easier.